In this video, we will look at how can we use Excel to create the frequency distribution for one quantitative variable. So the dataset you can download from the D2L. Here we only have one one variable called GPA, and for this variable we totally have 120 observations. And then based on this dataset, we will create a frequency distribution under two different settings. So on the first setting, we will not consider the GPA equal to 0, because if you look at the whole data set, we cannot find any value for GPA equal to 0. And then we set up the class width equal to 1. So under this kind of setting, and we will see how we define our classes. So the first class is smaller and equal to 1, but larger than 0. And the second class from the GPA larger than 1, but smaller and equal to 2. And the third class is GPA larger than 2, smaller and equal to 3. And the fourth is GPA smaller and equal to 4, but larger than 3. And the last class is GPA larger than 4. And so under this kind of setting, we want to know how can we find the frequency for the classes using the Excel. In order to do this, you need to first double check, do you have this area called the data analysis on your Excel. By default, they shouldn't showing up on your Excel, and you need to add in to your Excel. If you don't know how to add in this data analysis to your Excel, please watch the previous video on how to add a data analysis to the Excel. So now, if we want to know how to use the data analysis to help us to create the frequency distribution, we first need to know how can we create the bin range. So the bin range is telling us the upper boundaries for each class. The upper boundary, which means for each class, they will be able to reach to that upper limits. So that's why when I define the first scenario, you will find for each class, I always define the closed upper limit. So for the first class, the upper limit is 1. So you type 1 for the first class. For second class, upper limit is 2, and they can reach to 2. And for third class, it's 3, 4, and for last class there is no upper limit, then we leave it blank. So now we will see how can we use data analysis to create our frequency distribution and histogram. So first click the data analysis, and once you click the data analysis, you will see this dialog and find the histogram option and click OK. So once you see this dialog, I want to remind you again, for the data analysis tab, every dialog you open will be made up by two parts. The first part is called input, another part is output. So generally speaking, the input is tell the Excel where you can find the data set, and the output option is telling you what kind of result you want to show up in the Excel file and where do you want to place your result. So first look at the input area. So the input range actually is where is our data set. So click this little icon, select our data set from A1 to A121, our last observation, and then click this little icon again and roll up. So the second, you need to fill in this bin range. That's what we just created. So the bin range is the upper limit for each class. So when you define the upper limits, you need to make sure each class can reach to the upper limits. So if here is smaller than 1, so you shouldn't put 1 here, because in this class the computer will think you're looking for the GPA smaller and equal to 1. So now let's select our bin range. Click this little icon. So make sure if you select the label for your dataset, you need to also select the label for your bin range. So that's why I select from D1 to D5 and click this little icon. And since the first cell, GPA and the bin range, they are labels, so you need to check this box. Make sure you check it. If you select from A2 to A121 and D2 to D5, then you don't need to check this box. Since we are starting from the first cell, which is labels, so you need to tell computer the first cell, they are not a number, they are labels. Then let's put out our result in our new spreadsheet called frequency distribution, and histogram 1. Since we will have another setting, so let's name it as frequency and histogram 1. And don't forget to check the chart output. If you check the chart output, you will see the histogram. Without checking this box, you will only get the frequency distribution. So you finish everything here. Now you are ready to go. Click OK. So now we will, if you check the Excel file, you will add one more new spreadsheet called freak and histogram. That's the name it's named. So that's what I said. The output area, you will tell Excel where you want to put your result. So we create a new spreadsheet to print out the result. So now first, let's look at this tiny table here. So the bin range and frequency. So yes, this is our histogram. So from 0 to 1, we have 1 observation. From 1 to 2, we have 6. 2 to 3, 45. And 3 to 4, 68. And we don't have any student get more than 4. So that is our histogram, frequency distribution. So now let's look at our histogram. Obviously, you should realize this is not histogram. This is our bar chart. So what should we do? First, choose one of your blue rectangle, and left double click your mouse. Left double click your mouse. Then you should see on the right side of the spreadsheet, this area will show up. It's called Format Data Point. And under the series option, you should find the gap width. It's 150%. So that's the width between each rectangle. So that's 180%, 150%. As we mentioned in the class, for histogram, they shouldn't have any gap. So you can drag this bar down to the 0%. So you should see the change of the histogram. So you shrink the gap to 0. So this is the histogram. So in next video, I will show you the histogram and frequency distribution under another setting.